What's going on, YouTube friends and family? Welcome back to the channel. Got a really fun video for you today. It's going to be the top 5 from the House of Argos that I'm going to be wearing this summer. Now there's quite a few things you could put on this list, and even Adonis Awakens is a little bit more of a versatile fragrance. You can wear it during cool or warm weather, and same could probably be said with Baccio Immortale. Argos Pour Homme would absolutely fit this as well. It's a wonderful fresh fragrance for summertime. Even Palace Athene would be a good one with the red berry, pink pepper in there. But these are the 5 in my collection that I will be wearing the most this summer. So let's go ahead and go through them. Now, Love Triumphs Over War. Again, when I first bought this, it was a little bit of a challenging fragrance. Very floral, extremely floral. You got violet, rose, sweet tuberose, geranium, I believe, gardenia, iris. It's very fruity as well, though. You get a nice lemon, raspberry, and black currant burst of, kind of juicy fruitiness in the opening. The dry down is really nice as well. You have white musk, amber, I believe you have some sandalwood and some other notes in there. So just overall, the fragrance is bright, it's floral, a little bit fruity, not overly powdery. You also have cinnamon or cinnamon bark in here as well, so you have a little bit of a spice note to kind of blend those fruits and florals together. Even though it was a challenging fragrance for me when I first bought it, Love Triumphs Over War is just absolutely amazing. It is also one of my most complimented from the house. If you've watched my most complimented video from Argos, which was kind of a shock. Again, not necessarily my favorite from the house. I would probably say it's in the top 7 or so. But there are other ones, especially on this list, that I enjoy wearing more. But this is something that continues to grow on me. It's something that's floral. It's very, very long lasting. All these fragrances last a long time from Argos. So great job on them. But for me, Love Triumphs Over War is one of the longest lasting fragrances from them. And I think it's just having to do with the base notes and the amount of florals in here as well. But man, it is one of those fragrances. The more I wear it, the more I appreciate it. And it is certainly a situational fragrance, but for me, it does well in high heat situations, which is why I'll be wearing it mainly in the spring or summertime from the House of Argos. So beautiful stuff. If you're a guy and you are somewhat a fan of floral fragrances, don't be afraid to try this one. It's a compliment monster, an unbelievable projection and longevity. It is just a masterpiece of a fragrance, even though for me, it was a little bit challenging. So great stuff by the House of Argos. Now, one of my personal favorites is Donnay. This has bergamot, Sicilian lemon in there. Very woody. It's got gaiac wood, cashmere wood, sandalwood. Has cistus in there as well. So it's a very warm fragrance. It's one of those fragrances that as it dries down, you get more into those wood notes and it gets a little bit more away from the fruity, acidic opening, which is a lot of lemon and bergamot. I mean, just look at the color on that bottle. If yours is a little bit lighter, don't worry, it will get darker over time. This has been macerating for about 2 years. Almost looks like a Coca-Cola. I mean, it's like brown, purple. This stuff is unbelievable, man. I love Donnay. Every time I wear it, it is just like I don't know, it's just a very happy fragrance to wear. It's easy to grab and go. High heat situations, again, with the wood, the cistus. It's got some musk in there as well. Very juicy. Tannic, I guess, would be a good word for it as well. If you've ever drank like an oaked wine or a very highly aged bourbon or something, it does have some tannins in there. And I think that's just from the 3 different types of wood they use. So it's a very juicy, woody, warm fragrance. And I know one of my subscribers, I forget who said it, but this was one of their introductions to the House of Argos, and it got them started on it. And I can see why. If Donnay was one of your first purchases, I'm sure they did end up purchasing more from the House of Argos because it is a beautiful fragrance and one of my favorite to wear, again, during summer and springtime. Now, personally for me, Brevedo Delicatio was one of my first introductions for the House of Argos. It was the first bottle I bought. As you can tell, it was a 30 ml. I think I got it for around $90 on special. It's not something, when I bought this fragrance, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I looked at the notes of this, but it's got sage, juniper, matte, oil of fluve, birch. I mean, just a very green outdoor fragrance. A little sweet, It's not really overdone in any one area, so it's not too herbal. It doesn't have too much of that juniper in there, so it's not really juicy. That just adds like a little bit of sweetness with the sage in there as well. Birch gives it a very, very slightly green, smoky aspect in there with the oil of Fluve. Man, this is just an unbelievable fragrance. Argos, if you're watching, I know you share my videos a lot. If you ever want to send 100 ml my way, I won't be disappointed because all I need is Palacetyne and the 100 ml of Brevito Delicacia to complete my collection from you guys. I think every fragrance you guys have other than those two. So this is wonderful stuff if you are into those types of fragrances. Good longevity, good development as well on this fragrance. It's something to where the more it dries down, it always stays with that DNA of being green and outdoor, but you certainly get a lot more of the birch and some of the other heavier green notes in there as this dries down and it gets a little bit further away from that fresh sage and juniper opening. So Brevito Delicacia is absolutely one of my favorite fragrances from that house, just in general, but especially for the spring and summertime. It is very, very good, very well complemented. I would say a woman could wear it, but I would say this one, especially over Dane and Love Triumphs Over War, this one is certainly more masculine. And other than Neiman Lion, probably one of the most masculine ones in their lineup so far. And yeah, I'll be looking to purchase a 100 ml bottle of that because this is going to run out pretty quickly. You can already see it's gotten some good usage. And when I get into it this summer, it's not going to last very long. So now certainly a unisex one. These last two are certainly unisex. I would say the most unisex of all these is probably Adonis Awakens. Of course, with Love Triumphs Over War and Dane, those are unisex as well, but this is a very heavy rose fragrance, very bright. It has rose and rose absolute, so you get the rose in the opening, and it goes all the way through the dry down. You don't ever really lose that rose DNA with this fragrance, which I love. Of course, all these bottles are beautiful. It's one of those things to where when you try this fragrance at first, you may not get it because it's just so heavy on the rose, raspberry, vanilla. It's obviously a very, sandalwood-based fragrance as well. It's got Mysore sandalwood. And I would say those are the main things that you get out of it. You get sandalwood, rose, raspberry, vanilla, but they've also done a very good job. They added the note of chestnut in here, and you don't really get the chestnut until the dry down, which is again another reason why this fragrance does go well in cooler weather, just because it's powerful. With the vanilla and raspberry, you do get a slight gourmand quality to it, but the chestnut for me is really what makes this fragrance. It really kind of helps blend those top, middle, and base notes and help it transition all the way down. And man, yeah, it's just beautiful stuff. Adonis Awakens is one of those fragrances, man or woman, you're going to wear it. It's probably going to smell a lot different on your skin. You're going to get a ton of compliments on it. The rose note in here is one of the best rose notes I've smelled in any fragrance, and there's a lot of good ones. You have Westside from Bond 9. You have Freddie Mall from Portrait of a Lady. I mean, rose is used quite frequently in a lot of fragrances, whether that is a blending note or whether it's a main component. And you would certainly say that in Adonis Awakens, rose was meant to be one of the main components, and it was meant to be highlighted in this fragrance. So if you are a fan of rose and rose-based fragrances and you don't have Adonis Awakens, I don't know what you're doing. It's just an excellent, excellent fragrance. So Bacio Immortale. Main things you get with this, especially on the opening, is raspberry and leather. And the leather in here, it is just a very luxurious, clean type of leather, like almost like a high-end. If you walk into like a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci store or something like that, it's just a very clean, high-end leather. The raspberry in here is very juicy. It goes well with the leather, kind of sweetens it up, lightens it up. I will say though, the main reason that I bought Bacio Immortale is the base notes. You have birch, oud, musk, leather, vanilla. I may be missing one other one, but when you look at those base notes, especially for me and my taste, just the fact that it had birch, oud, musk in it, I was sold. And this will be on another video with Dubai Jade and some of the other ones coming up on fragrances that you have to wait for the dry down. Because you may not appreciate this fragrance, and Adonis Awakens may be on there too, because when you first smell this and spray it on skin, it is very leather and raspberry heavy. Nothing wrong with that at all. But the best part of this fragrance comes about 6 hours after you spray it on skin. And then you really get a very nice dosage of a well-blended base notes. Again, you have the birch, oud, musk, vanilla, leather. And leather is actually in here twice. I believe it's in here as a mid note and a base note. So much like Adonis Awakens, how they use the rose and then the rose absolute, the leather is meant to be highlighted in this fragrance. It's meant to be part of the DNA for the entirety of the fragrance. It's something that never goes away. It does change and lighten up a little bit when you get to the base notes because the leather seems to be overtaken by the oud and the birch and the musk at about the 6 to 8 hour point. Just depends on how much you spray in your skin and the environment. But you want to talk about a well-blended fragrance, man. Bacio Immortal is very sensual. It's well-blended. It's fresh. It's clean. It's easy to grab and go. You can see how much I've used for this one, and with all the fragrances I have in my collection, you know, that's a pretty good dent in a bottle considering I've had it less than a year. I would say that Bacio Immortal is unisex, but much like Brevido Delicaci, I think it does lean slightly masculine, especially due to the oud, birch, and leather notes in there. But a woman could certainly wear it, but I think on a man's skin it would go better, and it just feels a little bit more at home. So guys, let me know some of your favorite Argos fragrances that you're going to be wearing. I thought about putting Neiman Lion on this as well because it's a very green outdoor fragrance, and you probably could wear it for spring or summer, but it is very heavy and animalic with the oud and the animalic leather and things of that nature. Much heavier oud and leather notes, completely different than Bacio Immortal. So it's interesting. I don't know exactly what they've used in terms of, you know, different types of oud and leather. That's something they're probably keeping a secret there at Argos. But even though they share those two components of the oud and leather, they do not smell anything alike on the dry down. Again, Neiman Lion is a lot more animalic. This is much more clean. It's easier to wear. Neiman Lion will probably be a bit more challenging for people, but yeah, all these fragrances are going to get a ton of usage coming up this summer, and I'm very interested to see what you guys will be wearing from the House of Argos, so go ahead and leave it below, and I'll see y'all next time, all right? Bye.